Today I'm joined with Angaza Thom, and we're going to talk about some pretty hard topics. This past week here on campus, there were some demonstrations in one of the men's dormitories, Hillman, for freshman boys. There was some racist terms and discriminatory acts. And I have Angaza here. He's a member of the Men of Color Alliance here on campus, and they had a lyceum as well as a discussion in Hillman last week. Thank you for coming in today. Would you be willing to tell us exactly what happened in Hillman? Do you know the exact events?
Freshman told me that there were people putting bananas in front of his door, and another freshman spoke about a note that was left on his door that says, "Leave our white girls alone."
Okay, so this was towards African American students in Hillman dorm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is a really hard topic to talk about, and I know it's going to be hard. But what did the students do when they found the banana and the note? And
they didn't do anything.
They didn't do anything?
Oh,
that's really hard. Let's talk about you a little bit. Why is this organization and its demonstrations important to you?
It's a place that I can confide in, somewhere I can go where there's people like me, and we can talk about certain issues about men and being of color, whichever color that is, and we can just speak about certain things on campus and just help you find yourself.
Okay. Who's involved in the Men of Color Alliance? Obviously it's men, but who, as far as campus?
Well, there's students, all different types of students, and Dr. Winger is the advisor, and Dr. Roper's involved also.
Okay. What are your personal experiences with racism, either here or in high school or back home?
There's a lot of personal experiences. You experience a bunch of things during your life, I guess. There's things that have happened when I was home or in New York or here at campus, in the classroom or walking, playing basketball, wherever.
Like what? Like what has happened?
Maybe like a student making a comment and not really knowing what they're saying can maybe be offensive, one of my dorm mates or something like that, or maybe like, I don't know, just normal stuff that people wouldn't realize it could be offensive to me.
Okay, so you realize that some people may not realize that what they're doing is offensive.
Yeah.
The note that was left on that student's door, "Stay away from our white girls." How do you feel about that? And how do you feel about, interracial dating? Is it, why is it still so stigmatized?
Well, I don't really think a lot of people have let go about, slavery or people mixed matching and dating and races is being acceptable yet. And I mean, there's not many women of color on this campus for guys of color to choose from. So, I mean, there's not really much of a choice. But at the same time, I understand why a lot of people are still on the edge about it, because slavery really wasn't that long ago. And we're just right around the corner from segregation and certain things like that. So that's probably why it's still a high-strung topic.
Definitely. It's a really, new change here for America as far as history goes. Growing up, what did your parents tell you about racism and how to react and how to deal with it?
Well, pretty much the reaction that you got from the students who didn't react to certain things is kind of how I was raised, to learn to take certain things in and understand that people don't know certain things that you would know, or don't see things like how you may see them. So I basically was raised to be understanding of the fact that someone else of another race may be less knowledgeable, and just learn how to cope and do different things.
Yeah, definitely. So did they tell you to, just speak up or keep quiet, or were you supposed to
Well, I'm
be
not
vocal?
that quiet of a guy. If I feel a certain way, then I'll let you know about it. But also in certain situations, I don't know, with the cops, for instance, you don't make sure that you're polite or you speak well-mannered and all sorts of things like that.
It's definitely, remarkable of you, because I know a lot of people can't control the anger, when things are said or actions are done. How do you control your anger when it comes to stuff like that, when it comes to banana peels and notes and racist remarks? And you said you were even pulled over once by the cops for walking because you looked like someone, not here, back home. But
Yeah.
how do you control your anger about situations like that?
I mean, you get dull to it. Not to say that it happens every second of every day, but if something happens to you more than once, you know how to handle the situation the next time and the next time. So I guess you're more prepared for it, just as if it was to happen to you at one time at once.
How do you feel about these events as a black man on campus and as your friends, you know, all of them? How do you all feel about this? Are you mad? Are you, you know, are you sad? Are you hurt?
I mean, something like that will make me angry.
Mm-hmm.
I get mad, or we talk about it and we vent and things like that, and see that certain people don't understand certain things yet, and that we really haven't come that far as many people may like to think. But I mean, that's why I'm here, to experience something that's totally different, that's going to help me grow as a person and as a young man. And I think that it's just important that we talk about certain things and have lyceums and events and forums to keep the topic open to discussion. I mean, like after the lyceum and after the discussion in Hillman, I had a great discussion with two of my residents, and we just got to know each other, and we were open and honest with each other. Like, a lot of times I feel like America teaches us to not be completely honest about how we feel. Mm-hmm. So if we can have more discussions about whether or not it's about who's going to be the president, or who's black and who's white, or what's racist and what's not racist, I just think it's important for people to be open and honest and be real with each other about how they feel about certain things and how one thing may be taken on one side versus the next.
I definitely commend you for being so understanding of people's, you know, no knowledge about the situation. There are classes on campus that teach that DNA says there is no difference between people with different colored skins, but it seems that race seems to control everything in this culture. Why do you think race is such a big part of American culture and, you know, worldwide culture? Why does the color of someone's skin matter so much?
Slavery, I would say, is my simple answer. For all that time, we had slaves, and America was built on something that was wrong, and it hasn't to this day been properly addressed, and people feel one way about it. Whether or not affirmative action is going to take care of that, or reparations, is something that's still underlying. And as a country, I don't feel like we're not real and open about all topics. So, I mean, there's a bunch of races that in America. There's different sorts of races. So, but it still comes down to that black and white thing continuously, over and over. Obama, McCain, this versus that. So I feel like there's a lot of tension that hasn't been solved, and we think from integration we've solved much, but we're not as far along as we may see.
In your opinion, what is the answer to racism? How do you end it? Is there anything we could do?
It's going to take some time. I definitely think that Emory Henry is moving towards that direction, where not to necessarily end racism, because that's a lack of intelligence, and you have people in college that, of course, are going to try to gain intelligence. But, I mean, the way we're trying to do it here in this college, there's a bunch of young people of young minorities here that trying to make a difference and trying to start things like MOCA or different organizations, and understanding that just being a minority of either is if it's your race or if it's your sexuality or your gender or whatever the case may be, that there's differences, and it's not just one way to think about things. It's a vast majority of people.
Wow, I definitely commend you for all of your understanding and your experience and your knowledge, and thank you so much for coming on the show today to talk about such a controversial topic.